like it's just a weird game. Like how D lineman catch a pick, but it's just a weird game. I remember that vividly. It's just weird, man.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris, Mike Catalana, and Dan Fates. We're getting you ready for the game on Monday night between the Bills and the Jags. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much, Jenna, for your contribution.
Well done.
We got a busy day on Monday, so Jenna getting a little bit of a break today. She needs one, doesn't she?
Yeah, just
she's busy.
Some people get days off. It must be nice.
Wow. Shots fired right off the bat. Don't worry, Jenna will be with us Monday night.
She's shooting the game. So if the weather is bad, I don't want to hear it. It's not my game. I heard it is supposed to
chance of rain, showers, the whole thing.
It appears like it'll be a Dan game, but it's Jenna on the sidelines.
She's wanted to be on the sidelines.
That's it.
So it was her call.
Yep.
She called it. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the 5 players to watch. Now, we know the ones you're always watching, but we're going to give you 5 to keep an eye on for the game between the Bills and the team that's always weird with them, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I thought Ed Oliver, I don't think we talked about it much because he talked on Thursday, I think, when we recorded one of our videos. Here's what Ed Oliver had to say about the history between these two teams when the Bills face off against the Jags on Monday night.
Like I said, I'm just letting the guys know, like, it's a weird, I don't know what it is, man. It's just a weird, and I speak life into it, so this game won't be weird. But the past 2 times been weird. We done started slow. Just very weird games. Y'all go back and watch it. I think the first time we played them, what the score was like, 9-6 or something like that? Something crazy. What was it? 9-6. Come on, like, we playing an NFL game that's 9-6. Like, I think I remember Josh Allen catching the pick on Josh Allen. I remember that, like it's just a weird game. Like how D lineman catch a pick, but it's just a weird game. I remember that vividly. It's just weird, man.
Yeah, we were talking about it. It's weird. Yep. It's not just us. Ed Oliver also thinks it's equally weird. He said weird like 7 times.
It has gone from my original generation of covering this team to now. Starting it out in the 90s, first time they ever met was the playoff game. I just saw some highlights of that, or lowlights for the Bills. Jim Kelly getting knocked out, and then you had the the Jags winning. It was Marv's last playoff game for the Bills. All the way to, I mean, we can say to London. Twice they lose to him in London. The EJ Manuel mess. And then last year with all the injuries.
And 2 years ago, we are still convinced.
Did have a conversation. I talked to a few people. Urban Meyer is going to be at the game. We're going to get him to the game. And Josh and the Bills offense going to go out there on the field. Gabe's already there. He could come over and play for the Bills. He could finish the game for them. And then the Bills drive down and win it.
We've covered a lot of weird games.
Yeah.
That game in Jacksonville is up there. And again, the Bills have been such a good team, consistent over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
The Jags have not. And they are still kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily a thorn in their side, but they have been some ugly losses that afterwards we've gone, how did that happen? How did they lose that game?
And they've had some really good teams. I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship, should have made the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, that was
the year they beat the Bills
Blake
in that
Bortles
playoff
year.
games.
Yes.
The next game, they went to Pittsburgh and scored like 80 points in that game.
Even going back farther than that, you had the Leonard Fournette fight game. So like that's another one that just gets lost in the mess that is Bills versus Jags of just
Bills
weird
legend,
games.
Leonard Fournette.
That's it.
Yeah, big contributor when he was there. All right, let's pick the 5 players that we want to talk about for this game. In fact, I'm going to do them in this order because we just heard from him. Ed Oliver.
I loved what Chris Long had to say. We talked about it on Thursday.
Yeah.
The fact that he is 100% canine. They did the DNA test.
Yeah.
Glass eater, all those things. It just goes on and on about the fact of Ed Oliver can be the type of guy that can ruin games. Like by himself, he can be that game wrecker. Jags O-line is not very good. Trevor Lawrence has been pressured a ton. He needs to be that pressure up the middle that they've always wanted him to be, paid him to be, all of those things. So I'm looking at Ed as the disruptor. Daquan's been average the last 2 weeks to start the season. But I'm looking at Ed as being that game wrecker for Trevor.
Ed is an anomaly in this way. Drafted high, the hope was that he would advance and become a high-end player. Was up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he got paid.
And he's been great.
And he's been even better.
Yeah.
He has been, and I do believe sometimes, I know this word does not exist in the NFL. Sometimes you need a little patience, and especially in that kind of position, you think it is just a man whooping another man. And Daquan said that. And there are times that's what it is. I mean, Ed had that one play in the game. He's lined up. They're not lined up right. He never even gets in a stance, and he just shoves the tackle out of the way and goes in and gets it. But he's also learned more about positioning, his hands, all the techniques, the swim moves, all those things you do on the inside. Yeah, and when you're a disruptor like that, boy, that's hard to game plan against.
Absolutely.
On the end, they chip.
Correct.
Quarterbacks step up in the pocket. We all know this. They all hate to step up.
Absolutely.
With pressure coming at them. So,
and a lot of times they're eating just double teams, and a lot of their stats aren't seen. But again, back-to-back plays, Ed in that Miami game, blows up the play on 3rd down, gets the sack on 4th down. Like, he was kind of quiet through. We were joking around with Sal Marana. He's like, where's Ed Oliver been this season?
Sal.
And then the classic Sal jinx.
Right after he tweets it.
Right. And he just blows up 2 back-to-back plays. That's the type, because you're right. On the outside, if you're dominant in the middle, it sets up more single blocks on the outside. So Ed needs to continue to be that guy for Von, for Ed, or for Greg, and things like that.
And he's going up against Mitch Morse. Now, when you think of personalities, I think they're very, very similar.
Totally. Dad
Mitch.
Yeah.
Like he was a year behind me in high school.
Yeah.
Mitch. That is
just looks like it.
He is just a good dude, but he is now, kids, we're going to have a family meeting. I can hear that out of Mitch.
My favorite story ever about Mitch, and I don't think we've ever talked about it here, but when he got paid, be like the highest paid center.
Right.
Do you know how he spent his money?
No, I don't remember this.
He went to Old Navy. He had a shopping spree at Old Navy. Not Kirk Cousins Cole's level.
Yeah.
But he went to Old Navy and balled out.
Where you can get like 4 pairs of jeans for like $9.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. But like if that doesn't symbolize, like summarize who Mitch Morse is, his big shopping spree.
Now we will be looking before the game because Mitch is big with the fits coming into the game.
Yes.
Now, good dude. He's a guy that I initially would have liked to have seen them keep.
Absolutely.
We know they had this plan, but that's a guy who did a lot for this franchise.
And Mitch also told the Buffalo News this week that he thought he was going to retire as a Bill.
Yeah.
Like he thought he was going to end his career with the Bills. So they've got to figure out some things in the offensive line. Mitch it has to be a massive part of keeping Trevor upright and giving him time.
Does Ed talk trash to Mitch?
No.
I don't think he does.
No.
Because sometimes Ed gets going and maybe it's
too much respect for Dad.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he gets away with like one little one and then Mitch gives him the look like, enough, Ed.
Sir.
Yeah.
Son. Don't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
All right. The second guy we want to talk about is Baylon Spector. He's coming in as the starter. Played well.
Yep.
It's not easy. Terrell Bernard, we've talked about it here, is right up there with Ed and Taron Johnson as the best players on that defense on all the levels. And boom, he's out, and now you're on the field. And he is, his issue has been not being able to stay on the field.
Correct.
And then he hasn't had that many reps on the defense.
Yeah.
Now he'll get all the reps this week, but they're also game planning for him. And I think they're going to now, the Evan Ingram thing is big.
Yep.
But they're going to try to get at Baylon Spector, I would think. With Travis Etienne in that second level, I think it's a big week for him. Hold down the fort, because I feel like Bernard's trending towards being back in another week.
Yeah, I think insert every single cliche that you want for Baylon Spector. Don't try and be somebody you're not. Just do your 111th, all of those things. And Sean McDermott is incredible at coaching up backups and getting them ready. We also talked to, I was talking to somebody about it, but the fact of the backups watch so much film, usually by themselves for most teams. The Bills coaches, the position coaches, watch a lot of film with the backups. Like they give them the tutelage of like, hey, you may be this guy. So they spend the time and invest it. So you know how much it means to Sean McDermott for when these guys get in there, they are prepared because you never know what's going to happen. And, you always got to prepare to be the starter. This is the actual time where it really pays off for guys like Baylon Spector, guys like Dorian Williams, guys across the board, even going back to DeMar Hamlin. Like they have had guys ready to go. Jamarcus Ingram, like be prepared for when your number is called because you never know what's going to be. It's nice to see though that Baylon has 10 days to pretty much know he's going to be the guy.
Yeah. As opposed to 10 seconds. And I even asked him in the locker room down in Miami about that because I do believe he was saying that, when you're Baylon Spector, he is thinking of the plays being called. He is in his mind while he's watching Terrell Bernard, the play call, what we're doing. And so he's trying to, it's like a baseball player sitting on the bench watching the pitchers. You got to be ready.
But it's easier said than done.
No question. And that was when Ed, I think we talked about it when I asked Ed about it. And Ed was like, I looked back and I said, that's not TB in the huddle, which was
Southern
funny.
Draw, though.
He definitely does. Baylon's got, he and Ed could have a nice little conversation, go ride horses. So big night for him against the Jags. Let's flip to the Jags offense. Gabriel Davis. Go ahead.
Is that he's been targeted the most for Jags wide receivers.
And he's at about 50 some odd % of completion. Just right on his number.
He's right on his number, 10 targets. I think he's got 5 or 6 catches. I loved what Cam Lewis had to say that they kind of know what he does and the physicality. And
Cam said he talked a little trash.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about Gabe. I'm trying to keep this nice. It's another one of the things of credit to me. I can take the credit to me. Now, granted, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe he turns it around and plays like a guy that got paid.
He got a lot of money.
So this could be a game where he goes off. This could be one of those games that you see once every 8 weeks for Gabe Davis to go off.
I always think about players, and when you want to give an honest opinion of what you feel about that player is you think about him on a team you dislike.
Correct.
Right? So if you're a Bills fan, it was Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins because you're like, we see this guy. Now we got to see him twice a year.
Xavier Worthy.
And the Bills have done a great job against Tyreek. And we'll see when they do play against Worthy. But you go, for example, Giants fans understanding how disappointing it was with Saquon. But then they're like, Saquon can't play. Well, Saquon can play. Now you're going to play against him twice. I think about Gabe as a good football player in his role. Like he's an NFL player, but he doesn't scare anybody.
Nope.
And I don't think he has. I think this is who he is.
Yeah.
Except instead of making 2 point some odd million a year, he's making 13 million.
Yeah.
And you're counting on him to be that guy. They have not gotten the production in the first few games out of Christian Kirk.
Right.
Josh's golf buddy. I would expect them to try to get Kirk going in this game.
Yeah.
Because he's a good wide receiver.
Especially with no Ingram, but the Bills secondary. I mean, this is also feeling confident that Gabe doesn't have a big game just because of how good Benford and Douglas have been.
Yeah.
So I would be, it's not a Gabe jersey.
It's a Stevie Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is weird. Again, the reunion tour continues. Poyer last week, Mitch this week, as well as Gabe. I don't know. I've said all of my parts about Gabe Davis. I watched some of the film against him against the Browns. He still looks like a guy that is too slow for the fast guys and not physical enough for the bigger guys. Gabe Davis is what he is. And I think it's a really good number 3. I think it's a below average number 2 wide receiver. Yeah. That's my point.
Well, the Bills know him pretty well.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Bills side and a guy that I think we universally thought was going to put up numbers.
Yeah.
I know someone who drafted him relatively early in his fantasy league. And, I think the numbers are coming.
Yes.
But Dalton Kincaid has not been, so far, has not been that guy. Concerted effort in the last game to get him the ball. Jacksonville has a weakness against tight ends. Their numbers are not good against tight ends. And I would think the Bills would, again, he got nicked up in the last game.
Yep.
But I would think they would be saying, let's get Kincaid going.
Yeah, he was, he got hit in the face or something like that.
It was an odd play. He was on the ground. The defender was sort of running by him, and he sort of kneed him in the head.
Yeah.
Unintentional.
Right.
But he got kneed in the head, and then he came out for a while and then went back in.
Yeah, we've talked so much about the running game and how it's been effective and all of those things. The passing game hasn't really gotten going.
Right.
I think if they want to take that next step as a complete offense, it's got to start with Kincaid.
Yeah.
And I think it's got to start, if not against Jacksonville, they're going to need it against Baltimore. They're going to need it against Houston, like defenses that fly around and can stop the run.
Fly around.
Josh Allen. That's where I see needing to find Kincaid to also alleviate some of those heavier boxes that teams may start to say, hey, we're going to stop the run first now, necessarily with the Bills. And then, I mean, that's crazy to say, but Josh Allen has been good, but he hasn't been asked to do all of that much.
Yeah.
He went Superman style against Arizona, but they just ran the ball down Miami's throat. If you can't run the ball down a team's throat, you got to find somebody else. Khalil Shakir has been great. I know some people are tagging me today about, he's caught every single target. That's great. You need more.
Yeah.
We could have talked about Keon Coleman needing to do stuff. I think this is a big game where the Jags have a really good pass rush. Josh talked about it. They probably have 3 elite pass rushers on the edge.
Walker.
Yeah.
And obviously, Josh Allen.
Hines Allen. And so I think this is a quick game, passing game to maybe this will be the best pass rush the Bills offensive line will face. So I think it's quick bubble screens to your guy, Curtis Samuel this week. I think it's Shakir, and I think it's got to be Kincaid.
We should talk about Josh Hines Allen. Did he really say I'm the real Josh Allen?
I don't know.
The guy, when we were talking to JP Shadrick, he was saying that he said that after the game. I don't remember, unless he was, I don't know if he said I'm the real Josh Allen, but
but after the 2021 game, he had a sack.
That was the game he said it. Yeah, not
sack,
the Jackson,
fumble,
not the London game.
Interception.
He destroyed the Bills in that game.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a player.
Yeah.
And he can make some big plays, and he knows everybody's going to be talking about Josh in the game.
Yeah.
We're going to close it out with a guy who is under pressure. Depends on what level you want to say. Tyler Bass.
Yeah, I think this is he is in the hot seat is turned up.
Yeah.
Bringing in kickers this week. I think that is all you need to know about where the Bills are, although Sean McDermott says he has all the confidence in the world in Tyler Bass.
You have to say that. What are you going to say?
Right.
But he also said, even in the preseason, you got to make that kick.
Yep.
And we see it around the league. The guy for the Cowboys kicked what, a
65-yarder just now.
65. You want him, you should be able to.
You should be automatic inside of 50, you should be automatic.
Oh, yes. I'd say for this league, 55 and below is now become, I mean, they're kicking at a high level around the league.
I mean, the Bills have been good in the red zone. So they haven't really had to settle for 3.
Yeah.
But again, I think they've said all the right things all off season of we still believe in him and all these things. And they didn't bring anybody in training camp, and they didn't really put any extra added pressure. And I was a fan of that. I didn't think there was a point of wasting a practice squad player on bringing in a kicker. But now,
credit to me, I said I thought they should have brought in a kicker in camp.
Yes, you did.
And your point was a good one. They want this guy to have confidence,
right,
and let him get all the kicks. You talk about pressure. You know what I wonder about? They're off on Tuesday. How does he learn that they had kickers in there? Does his agent call him? Does he just see it online? I don't think Smiley's walking up to him and going, "Hey, bud, they're bringing in kickers."
That's a really good question.
Because
does Sean call him and say, "Hey, just want to let you know, I don't want you to hear it from somebody else."
Maybe they bring in players all the time.
Yes,
and corners,
and it's public.
Linemen.
It's public knowledge.
It comes out, but a lot of times you just because of injury.
Yeah,
I think when you think of kickers, you think of replacing him because he's ineffective. I think when you think of most players around the league, you're just scared to death you lose 2 wide receivers or an offensive lineman. So you always have speed dial, old phrase, on players that you've gotten a look at. But when you bring a kicker in, you're thinking about replacing your kicker.
I agree.
There's no question. So we'll see what happens.
I think he's one kick away from being cut. And don't tell me about the salary cap. The Bills can make it work. They're not going to go late in the season, salary cap aside, of not having faith that Tyler Bass can make a kick when they absolutely need it.
It impacts too much of your team, your decision-making, everything. The games are close, and you need a kicker who's going to deliver for it. All right, we're going to be at the game. We'll have you covered there. Post-game, remember, our podcast comes out Tuesday. It's a late game. First thing Tuesday morning. Also available wherever you get your audio pods, so make sure you're ready for that. Yes, Jenna, well-rested.
Yes.
Day off. She will be at the game, shooting the game in the rain.
That's it.
It happens, Jenna. It happens. Sometimes it happens. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Dan Fates and Jenna Cottrell, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris, and we'll see you after the game on Monday night.